Hello, Warbreaker, the Cosmere. I'm reading it. I am currently just about to start chapter 27, which is about 304 pages in of this edition here. And this is my third video, so some things have happened that I predicted would happen. Some things have not happened at all, and some things I've just been absolutely miles away. But let's talk about what has happened. And I think that my general predictions and my general idea of where this story was going to go is unfolding in that direction, but there was a lot of signs. But I think I'm probably a long way off, as always, from what exactly is going to go down, because there's always twists and turns. Not so much twists and turns with Brandon Sanderson. There's always whys that are so difficult to trace, yet the evidence is always there, and one day I'm going to get one difficult one right, but I don't think it's with this book. So the obvious thing is that the priests are containing a big secret, and they're running the returned, especially the God King, as we find out, who doesn't have a tongue and is almost has a childlike understanding of the world around him. So these priests are almost holding these guys, not hostage, but maybe hostage. And the big question is why? Because that's something I predicted pretty early on. But again, there was a lot of signs pointing towards that. So that's not, like an incredible prediction or anything. So the big question is, well, why is this happening? What do the priests want? Why? And once again, sorry to disappoint, but obviously I don't know the actual answer, but I have some ideas. So the fact that they cut the tongue out of the God King's mouth, and Siri made the assumption it's because they don't want him to command because he's too powerful. And I think the God King even says that himself. Maybe, because we found out, okay, so here's my theory. So we found out that obviously the Return can give up their soul or give up their soul, I suppose it is, their life, to give life to heal somebody else. And they said that the God King can do that on a mass scale. I think somebody said that somewhere. So if the God King can, release all his breaths that have been stored up or heal a lot of people all at one time, maybe that's what they're scared of him doing. Because I think you have to say my life to yours or my breath to yours to make that happen. So maybe that's what they're afraid of him doing. They're afraid of him releasing all of his breaths before they've managed to use it for something else, potentially. So that's where I'm at right now. I feel like that is a good guess. And also we've had at least 4 God Kings die based on Siri's kind of research and her asking the God King. And we know the God King had a mother, so I'm not 100% certain how the God King is selected. Obviously they returned, but he returned as a child. Is that true, or was there just lots of breaths given to him as a child? And the God Kings died somehow, but maybe the only way they die, because nobody knows how they died, and it's been several centuries, maybe they can give the life back into the lifeless, potentially. They can give up all their breaths and give them to the lifeless, or it's something like that. I think they're afraid of the God King giving up his life. I think maybe that's what happened previously, or wasn't allowed to happen, and that's how he's managed to amass so many breaths, like something along those lines. But I just don't know why they're so afraid of it. Like, what is the God King supposed to do for them before he gives up his life? What are they so afraid of? So there's a lot of good parts, and what I've loved so far about this book is it's so mysterious, and I feel like it's more mysterious than the other Brandon Sanderson books that I've read so far, and mysterious in a more unforgiving way, where there's less alluded to, and I know less rules. Like, I still have really no idea how color ties into any of this. It's clear that color and breath seem to be linked in a pretty specific way, but I like with Mistborn, as I said in the previous video, there was so much that was explained so quickly, and someone did comment and say it was cute that I thought I knew so much about that magic system. So obviously there's a lot more to learn. As always, there's another secret, but there was more laid out right at the start, and this one feels a lot more like I'm just discovering the world with the characters, especially obviously Ciri and Vivenna, who are discovering it with us. So more reason to distrust the priests. There's a trapdoor, and Lightsong discovers this trapdoor and expertly manages to not let the priests know that he's discovered it. And there was quite a lot of emphasis on the fact that there were two people that broke in. He believes the priests are lying to him, or he knows they are. There's a trapdoor, and colors had been drained. And I have no idea how it links. The only thing I could think of, like, why they would need a trapdoor is that they're harvesting something from the return. The priests, they need a reason to be able to access all the returned as quickly as possible. And I think that ties into whatever they're afraid of the God King, you know, doing. Maybe every time a priest is about to die, they force the returned to give up their life for them, so they're like immortal. That would be a really interesting idea, no? I just thought of that now. Which maybe the God King's priest is really worried because he wants the God King to give up his life for him. I don't know. That's like a half-formed thought, but an interesting one. So yes, I'm missing something massive with regards to colors and this trapdoor. I don't know how that fits in, but it's very intriguing. And this one is much more like a political book, a political bit of a mystery, some detective work starting to happen. And I much prefer this to the heist that was done in the first Mistborn book, especially. And although I really enjoyed that, this kind of political intrigue definitely attaches me to the book and attaches me to the story more strongly than the heist did, and then the revolution of the second book, and then just the fantastical element of the final book of Mistborn. So yes, I'm enjoying this more than the Mistborn books, although they were good fun as well. And I do really like that Lightsong's personality has kind of changed. And I was thinking, well, when did it change? And it changed right after he spoke with Ciri. Now, Lightsong believes it's something to do with his past, you know, this big change that's happened inside of him. And he thinks it's something about searching for justice. And you know, he probably knows more about himself than I do. But his priest, I can't decide whether his priest obviously knows what the rest of the priests know, I believe. But it feels like that priest has a very different vibe to the rest of the priests. So I don't know if he's maybe just got a soft spot for Lightsong and doesn't fully believe in the priest's mission, or maybe he's just a very good actor. I think maybe the latter might be the case. But right after Lightsong met Ciri, that's when all those changes went down. So I think either Ciri had an effect on Lightsong because of these ability to grow her hair really quickly or change the color of it, or whatever makes that royal bloodline special, maybe had some effect on Lightsong. Or maybe in his previous life, Lightsong was Idrian, and that's why she had such a strong effect on him. And that's why he feels like all of a sudden he needs to see justice. And but I'm really enjoying this new Lightsong, like having the juxtaposition of having him be so nothingy and lazy and apathetic to all of a sudden even himself having no idea. And it's so fun because of his reputation, he's able to do this detective work so well, because everyone's kind of like, they're kind of nonplussed by it. They don't believe that anything could change about him, and therefore, even though they're seeing the change in front of him and his drastic action, they're kind of not believing it as well. So he's going to get away with this detective work for a lot longer than anyone else would, I think. So we have Denth Vasher and Vivenna, and that storyline, I'm starting to get very suspicious that Lamex, I think his name was, or Lemex, it's so convenient that Lemex died immediately when Vivenna got there. Way too convenient now I think about it. So I don't know exactly what's going on with Denth and Vasher and Jules and that gang of people there. Obviously Vasher is separate from Denth and Jules and Tonkfar, but I'm starting to think that they maybe killed Lamex, because it's weird that they don't care that much about pay. They're much more, you know, all about the mission, and maybe they decided to push Vivenna in that direction. Maybe that's not what Lamex was going for, you know. So I don't really know why, but I'm very suspicious. And I don't know how it would have been crafted that way, but it seems to be by design that Lamex died as soon as Vivenna got there, and I don't know why. And there's obviously some kind of rivalry between Denth and Vasher, and then the sword as well, whose name I've forgotten now, but who was a great character. It's clear to me, I think, that a lot of breaths are inside this sword, potentially someone's whole like soul or something like that, because it bleeds the colors. So it takes breath away, and it steals those, because that's what seems to steal colors from like other people. It stole colors from that man's hand, which seems to be impossible. Like, why would that be possible? So maybe there's an opposite artifact that gives color. That would be interesting. But what's the relationship between Denth and Vasher? Because they obviously clearly know each other. All we know is that Denth knows Vasher for sure and seems to hate him. And Vasher saw Vivenna and seems to know her. So maybe Vasher is actually working for Idrian, for Vivenna's father. That's how he knows her. And he was sent there clearly to try and undermine everything that was going to happen with the attack. No idea how Denth fits into that. I don't feel like I don't have enough clues yet. I bet looking back it's quite obvious, as always with Sanderson. Something was slid in and I put some notes on it, but I definitely didn't pay enough attention to it. And it's something along the lines of Vivenna being told that breaths aren't actually souls, or souls aren't actually breaths. And I wish I'd paid more attention to it, because I think that's going to be really important, but unfortunately I haven't paid enough attention to it. So I can't remember the context. I'd have to go back and reread probably that whole section to try and find where it happened. So my bad. I feel like that is important. But my biggest prediction, and it's a very vague and open-ended prediction, is the split between the Idrians and the people from Talir is the most important thing. That's what this secret is all about. Some kind of reason why, or something to do with the royal bloodline, colors, the returned. And I know that sounds silly because there's all the big components of the book that are mysterious, but I just feel like there's a big secret, and the same secret that Vivenna's dad is hoarding, and I'm just assuming he's hoarding one. He has this big secret. He's also important in this, you know. And the priests, I think they're on opposite ends of this secret. They both have this like understanding of what's going to happen and why it's going to happen, and they're playing chess, and everybody else doesn't know what's going on. So that is the key, is there's a big secret, and the Idrians are much more dangerous than the Talir believe, except for the priests. The priests know why they're dangerous. And again, I'm so sorry with these vague predictions, but like I have to just go off of, you know, the smallest little things and also just the vibes, but that's where I believe the story's going. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you're reading along with me, please keep going. It's always good fun. If you have any comments, put them in there, and please like and subscribe as well. If you like this kind of video, I've done it for a bunch of different series now. They're all on my YouTube channel, and I'll see you at the next one.